Hey everybody, I'm Doodle. My friends call me Dude. Drawing awesome stuff is what I do best. Today's lesson is on light and shadows. In this show, we'll study the characteristics of light and reflections, create a value scale, draw a still life, and learn the terms contrast
and still life. Also, we'll go to the museum and study the work of Daniel Moore.
So come on, let's get creative! In order to create realistic-looking drawings and paintings, you need to understand how light hits and reflects off of objects.
Light is really a beam or a concentrated group of rays. Particles that hit and bounce off objects and reach into the eye. So everything you see is just a reflection of light.
When the rays hit the back of the eye or retina, the information is sent to the brain where the values, or lights and darks, are seen. Artists have to study light so they can reproduce its effects. To understand that light travels in a straight line helps an architect cast accurate shadows from a building across the street. It's this knowledge that enables artists to create works that look like photographs. This style of art is called photorealism.
When light hits an object, there are many different tones or values that define the object. For example, a round ball in a ray of light has dark areas, middle tone areas, highlights, and shadows.
If you try to draw a ball without using different values, it will look flat, like a cartoon. But if you use a variety of values, well, then you'll get a more realistic effect.
Take a look at this picture of a little girl.
Aw, she's a cutie.
How many values can you find?
Let's find the darkest tone. Right there in her hair is some almost black values. And right there on her face are some middle gray tones.
Oh, I see some really light values on her nose and teeth. And the only completely white areas are the little highlights in her eyes.
That's about 5 or 6 different tones.
There's actually a lot more than that, but 6 tones is enough to make your drawings look fully shaded. Let's practice making a value scale with 6 tones ranging from black to white.
First, draw a long box or rectangle. Then separate it into 6 smaller boxes, like this.
Starting with black, fill in each little box with a lighter value. Dark gray, middle gray, light gray, really light gray, and of course on the white box you don't have to draw any tone at all. Now, when you draw a picture, you can try to add at least 6 values to your masterpiece.
Look at what a difference adding values made to these student drawings. The one on the left looks flat. Everything has a black line around it.
The drawing on the right was created after learning about values. Notice how the artist used shapes and values instead of just black lines to form the face. Now that's impressive. Now that we can use a variety of tones in our artwork, let's play with the light sources to produce some way cool effects. Many artists set up a group of objects in a scene or composition. This is called a still life.
The idea is to keep everything in place so you can study how the light source and shadows define the composition. We need a light source.
Stretch! Would you mind shining a beam on the still life from this direction? More to the right. A little more. Ooh, that's it!
Wow, Stretch, you're my light in shining armor.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Stretch! You're my light source! If you move, I can't do a good job. Okay, let's look at the scene and break down the values, highlights, and shadows. I always begin by drawing a light sketch of the whole picture. Then I find the darkest tones and lightly block them in. Then I locate the middle tones and block those in as well. After this step, I begin to study the surface or textures of each object. The texture is the way the object looks and feels, like plastic, fur, glass, or skin. Light reflects off of these different surfaces in a variety of different ways.
I'm pretty good at painting fur and skin, but how do you make things look shiny, like a silver teapot or a gold statue?
Or like me. I'm shiny.
Well, you can think of the teapot as a curved mirror. Almost all of the light rays are reflected off of the surface, so you can draw a blurred view of the teapot's surroundings. In order to make things shine, you need contrast. Well, that means using dark tones against light tones to make them stand out more. Watch what happens when I add a dark background to this drawing. Now for a special effect. Smudge, I need a small highlight right here where the light source is strongest.
Whenever you have a light source, you'll have shadows. Shadows make objects look more three-dimensional.
Creative uses of shadows can produce very dramatic effects, like this drawing with light coming through the window blinds. Or this one with two light sources, one from the moon and the other from the lantern.
Hey, I could do that.
Sure you could, Stretch. Doodle makes it look so easy.
Anyone can really do it in practice.
Practice, practice, practice.
Let's go to the museum to see the incredible photorealistic paintings of Daniel Moore. Daniel Moore is nationally known for his skill in capturing great moments in sports history. His attention to detail and understanding of light make his work glow with warmth and emotion. He has been selected to create works of art for the United States Postal Service and numerous professional sports organizations.
His paintings look like photographs. Well, let's visit his studio and see if we can learn some new techniques.
Hi kids, my name is Daniel Moore. I'm a professional artist and I love to paint. You have a challenge of fooling somebody's eye and you want people to be drawn into your painting to make it look like it's real, almost like they could step right into it. Now we're going to discuss a few of my paintings this morning, and I want to discuss the working of the light and the shadow in my paintings because that is a lot of what will fool the eye. The first painting we'd like to talk about is Ole Miss Legacy. In Ole Miss Legacy, I have tried to capture 100 years of football at the University of Mississippi. Notice I've used a natural light source of the window to the left side of the composition. The light comes through the window and hits the objects in the still life that I've set up on the desk. Now let's take a look at some of these elements. Let's look at this helmet here. Notice that I've used the reflection of the very window on the surface of the helmet. Here we see the helmet reflected on silver back here. Here we see some brass. Okay, well now let's talk a little bit about texture and how texture affects the lighting. Sticking with Ole Miss Legacy, we see many different textures represented here. We have everything from wood to high gloss, plastic to silver. We have metals, we have fabrics. Sometimes you have a shiny fabric which picks up very strong little highlights, all the way to very soft fabrics like this old letter jacket here. Very soft lighting again. Okay, let's take a look at Grand Finale. Grand Finale is a painting which I did which commemorated Coach Stallings' last game as head coach at the University of Alabama. In Grand Finale, the first thing you'll notice is that I've used strong lighting. Strong lighting coming in across the field, creating a shadow on the left-hand side. Notice how your eye is drawn to the light. So we see the strong light coming in on the main figures of Dwayne Rudd and Coach Stallings. After that, your eye can travel around into the painting. This painting is a little unconventional in that the foreground figure, which is so large, typically would have predominance in this painting. But through the use of two things, one, shadow, and the other, an out of focus look, notice around the edge here, it's all very soft. It's almost as if you're looking past this and focusing in here, where we have very hard, crisp, in focus detail. Let's look at textures in Grand Finale. Notice the helmet which is a high gloss plastic. We have flesh tone, have a lot of fabric in this painting, and we have the texture of the grass. And looking very closely, you can see where I've had a little fun with the turf that's flying off of the toe here of the cleats that have kicked up some of that grass. I've made it sharp focus on the grass against some soft area back here, which pops that out. Well, kids, I hope you've learned a little bit about photorealism, superrealism, and the use of light and shadow in your artwork. Speaking of artwork, I've got to get back to the studio now because I have a painting that's waiting on me. Doodle and Dabney, it's been great seeing you today.
Hi, Dabney here. Did you learn the lingo today? The words are contrast and still life. Contrast, a variety of darks and lights. Still life, the objects of study for an artist to paint or draw. That's it for the lingo. Back to you, Doodle.
We are proud to present the Doodle Kids Gallery. Today's drawing comes to us from Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's from 12-year-old Melanie Dawson. How do you draw all that detail, Melanie? Wow, that's way cool! This picture is from 7-year-old Ricky Cobb. He's from Catala, Georgia. Nice shadows, bud. Okay, let's review today's lesson. We studied light and shadows, the value scale, light sources, and
Learned about photorealism from artist Daniel Moore, and learned the words contrast and still life.
now, don't forget, practice, practice, practice. See you next time, kids. Goodbye. Hey kids, be sure to check us out at our new website, www.doodlestudio.com. Come watch what I can do, because then I'm gonna teach you too.
Doodle!
When working in perspective, you gotta keep it neat so things will look perfect when you're looking down the street. And if you love to paint, then Dabney is your girl.
Squirt them red, blue, and yellow, then give them all a swirl.
Hey Doodle! Hey Doodle!
The museum's such a blast. See the artist of the past.
Hey Doodle! Hey Doodle! Teach us how to draw today!
If you like drawing people, then you can make some money by painting them realistically or drawing really funny. But if you mess up and feel you must erase